one got hit. Race for the White House is heating up, but who has the best shot at taking home the nomination right now at this point? Here with the latest rankings is the editor of PoliticalDerby.com and author of The Wedding Letters. The 2012 power ratings are out, and there he is, Jason Wright. Jason, tell us first off, in the top spot, Mitt Romney still there despite maybe his most controversial debate appearance.
Yeah, we still have Mitt Romney in the top spot. It's neck and neck, I think, with Herman Cain. But as you said in the intro, if we're looking at a snapshot of this moment, Romney is still just a half ahead in front of Herman Cain. I'll say, though, I think, you know, even if you're not a fan of Mitt Romney, I think you have to acknowledge that he has run a pretty smart campaign here. It's sort of a campaign of inevitability. I was explaining to somebody over the weekend. It reminds me a little bit of when I dated my wife. You know, I might not have been the guy with the most fire in my candidacy, but I just kept hanging around, and eventually my wife was left with me. I was it. I was the last guy standing. And I think that that's kind of what Mitt Romney is doing. It's this steady kind of march to the altar.
Wow. Stuck with you by Huey Lewis sounds like something that might come true. By the way, how long have you been married?
18 years.
All right, keep your fingers crossed, pal. It sounds like you're on the edge. All right, Herman Cain, a firm number 2, despite maybe 2 gaffes. We haven't seen that in the polls yet, but you still think he's tight up top?
Yeah, I do. We really haven't seen any polling, fresh polling, that takes into account that last debate. It'll be curious to see if he can sort of maintain this little surge he's had running for the last 3 or 4 weeks. But, you know, with Herman Cain, there's this kind of everyman myth that I think we have to dispel. You know, people say all the time to me, well, I like Herman because he reminds me so much of my neighbor. He's just a guy I want to have a picnic with or something. And I say to my neighbor, you know, Stephen Funk, if you're watching, I love you, brother. You're a great neighbor. I like hanging around you, but I don't want you to be president. So I think it's really easy right now for people to sort of embrace a guy like Herman Cain, who I just saw on the show. I mean, how can you not like the guy? But the notion that he's ready to be president, I think, is another question. And when it comes time to actually cast votes in the winner, I'm not sure that he does as well.
Right. Back to the race for a second. You have Perry, 30, look finally interested in debating, you say, but Newt Gingrich, each time he talks, each time he debates, he seems to get more and more respect. Is it showing in the polls?
He has seen a little bit of a bump here in the polls. This is a guy that if he could debate every night, I think he'd be really happy. The question for Newt is this. His name recognition among GOP peers is through the roof. The guy's been around, you know, since I was in diapers. And people like the guy. He has a very strong base, but can he grow that? And when you're running for president, at this point, it's all about changing minds. And at this point, is Newt Gingrich, despite the great debate performances, is he actually changing your mind, America? That's the question. And I think he has a ceiling like Ron Paul. I just think there's a point where he can't get through.
So, Jason, we learned a lot about the race and a lot about you. You kind of like your neighbor, but want them hands length apart. And your wife, you're lucky to have her. And,
amen, brother.
And keep your fingers crossed it continues. Jason Wright, thanks so much, editor of PoliticalDerby.com.
Have a great day.
And author of The Wedding Letters. Meanwhile,